So in this week's video, I want to talk about the advantage of staying in one place for an extended period of time when you're traveling, because I'm here in the Marche region of Italy and we're staying in a country house for 3 weeks. And although we'll make trips out from here into neighbouring villages and explore, we won't be going very far from home base and always returning here. And that changes my approach to photography. If I was travelling and covering a lot of ground and only spending a short time at each place, you don't have much time for planning or returning to a spot when the light's at its best. But when you're staying at a place for an extended period, you do. So what I like to do when I get to a place like this is have a good walk around first, have a good look around and see what opportunities there are, right where you're staying. Spring here in Italy, and quite a changeable season with regards to storms coming and going. We've already had a couple of thunderstorms, and they always create interesting skies, especially when a storm's clearing. So I'll be looking out for opportunities there. I've actually set up a time-lapse camera just under the eaves there, a little bit protected from the weather, looking out to the mountains in the distance. Because the changing clouds are so interesting, I want to see what I can capture there. The storms and changeable weather are actually really good opportunities for landscape photographers. Particularly as a storm's clearing, I find is possibly the best opportunity. Often the rain's stopped, so you don't have to worry so much about keeping water off your camera lens. And if the sun's coming out, there's usually a few clouds, interesting clouds around, possibly some God rays like we can see over there. And everything's just a bit damp and dramatic. And often if you are still getting a few showers, the sun can backlight the rain and make it look quite interesting. The storms really do spell opportunity for landscape photography. So I can see a potential shot developing on the hillside there with this view of Archavia, a hilltop village, one of the high points around here. There's a bit of sunlight just starting to hit the village, and the rest of the hillside's in shadow, so that could be quite spectacular, and it's a really nice sky. So I'm just waiting for the sun to drift over the village, and I'll get the shot. There's several shots. One, I'll go to the extent of my 150 lens to get as close as I can. I'll still get a fair bit of landscape in, and then also get a shot with these trees out of focus in the foreground, which will give the image a sense of depth. And then the last shot would be to pull back from 150 focal length to get more of a wide angle view, just more in the shot. Quite good to get variations when you've got a good opportunity like this. I'll probably just hand hold the camera because I can shoot on a fairly wide aperture, which means my shutter speed is fairly fast, so I shouldn't get any camera shake. Yeah, at the moment it's on 800th of a second at 2.8. I only need 2.8 because I'm really only wanting the distance in focus. Another good factor to keep in mind when you're framing a shot like this is keep moving around, because you may not have the exact best spot for lining up the shot. For example, to frame the shot, I can go in this V of trees and get a really nice framing that leads you into the image, whereas if I was over here, I only get the edge of one tree. It's just not quite as satisfying or pleasing a composition. And I can also move back a bit and maybe get this bigger tree in the foreground when I do a wide shot, just to add a bit more interest. So important to move around, move your feet so you change your point of view. It's quite a nice shot here as well, just over the top of the foliage. And now it's just a matter of waiting. I'm nearly ready to take some variations, get some shots. Sitting down helps me frame this really nicely with a bit of a U shape going through the foliage. So I've got a few shots of Archavia with the sunlight on the village. I've effectively underexposed the image according to the histogram because I find that it's a very high contrast scene like this that I want to be dark anyway. I get a more pleasing end result if I slightly underexpose. I mean, the traditional advice is to expose the histogram to the right and then process it into the middle, but in my experience, if you're going for a darker high contrast image, it actually gives you a better result to have the histogram more around the middle to start with. So to finish off, here's my top tips for making the most from one place for an extended period. So number one, walk around, find a good composition, and consider whether it might be worth coming back to this place when the lighting's a bit better. Number two, be ready to respond to changing lighting conditions such as a passing storm or the sun popping out from behind the clouds. So if you can anticipate these sort of things, you can be ready for them. Number three, know where the sun will rise and set, because this may affect whether it's better off to come back to a certain place at the other end of the day for better lighting. Number four, and do take variations of the exact same composition when you've found a really good one, but then only show your hero image. And most of all, enjoy the process and the practice. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.